Hello again. This is Dick Veerman for the IFAMA 2020 Goes Digital platform. I'm sitting here with Ikechi Agbugba. He's quite famous already on the IFAMA platform on Foodlog because he has been stressing all the time that picking up agriculture is very important for Africa, and it is especially important after COVID-19 and after, since he is Nigerian, after all oil prices went down. So Nigeria needs more food security, and that goes for many more African countries. Now, Ikechi, I'm very happy to have you finally interviewing you like this live. You have an answer to this question. Why do Africans look down traditionally on agriculture?
Well, first of all, I'll thank you for this opportunity. I must say that youngsters are totally uninterested in agriculture, especially the crop aspect of agriculture because of its drudgery and the stress involved in the field, and even also in the livestock aspects of agriculture. And the crop also touches on the forestry, and the livestock also has touches on the fishery. So they have this perception that farming is being antiquated and unprofitable, venturing into agriculture. So the image of agriculture traditionally has been more about subsistence and poverty. So you produce enough for yourself and family to eat. And also their understanding that farmers are the poorest people in the world. And so that's a major point to that fact.
So basically, Ikechi, you're saying that subsistence farming is something for people who don't have money to buy their own food, and that is why it is considered a poor man's business, a poor man's activity.
Absolutely. And I can also add that, lack of scientific advancements in the field also, it's one of the things that, scares them away from taking it as a profession. Their preference with respect to profession is on the industrial sector, as they tend to fix income and, job security. So I'll stop there.
Okay. What are the conditions for youngsters to pick up farming as entrepreneurs? Because that would change. It wouldn't be a poor man's business, but it would be an entrepreneurial business. What are the conditions to change that?
Well, of course, we all know that entrepreneurship has to do with creativity and innovation. And also we have farmer entrepreneur who such questions puzzle, is quite puzzling. And, such questions like, why should I be a farmer? Why would I take studying agriculture? Whereas there are other professions like law, being a lawyer, you can be a pharmacist, you can actually chart a course in the medical profession as a medical doctor, a medical life scientist. Okay, why am I not a movie star? And why wouldn't I chart a course in, as a stand-up comedian? So these are the questions that run in their minds of the young ones. So the time we are living now is such that the oldest occupation has to compete with some of these newly discovered professions that are appealing to the younger generation. So farming and of course agriculture has a lot of competition to face in that respect. And also the government has not stepped in with respect to changing this, because the government is supposed to, change these facts. So I wish to say that youngsters, they would love to see, in order to convince them to pursue or cut a course in the farming profession. And will I say that a technologically driven and mechanized agriculture, they are not seeing. And apparently, nobody wants to practice agriculture again in the conventional way when our foreparents used to use crude implements, and they stay under the sun for a while, and the farming and energy get exhausted. The youngsters do not want to experience that type again. So African governments should try and take agriculture as a serious business. And of course, because it has promising potentialities to provide food and raw materials for industries, create jobs, and substantial foreign exchange, figures for any economy, among other benefits. So, and our youths, they want to see viable and profitable agriculture. Because agriculture in Africa must be painted in such a way that the subsectors, that is the crops, the livestock, the forestry and the fishery sectors, subsectors, are also, are profitable, and also that the costs must be reduced as well. So the agriculture sector should be fortified and in such a way that it will compete favorably with other sectors like the oil sector, the textile industry, the mining industry, among other sectors that are in Africa. Yeah. So at that point, the profit margins of those youths that engage in agriculture must be robust. So they have to see profit margins that are robust, and even at the moment, some very negligible accounts of farmers who are practicing agri-techs. They form cooperatives and they form partnerships to trying to change the face of agriculture among the youngsters in Africa.
Okay, allow me to sum up. You're telling me governments should make it more important. They should invest in making agriculture more profitable. That is by scaling it up, by producing more items at a lower cost. But in preparing this interview, you also told me governments are only paying lip service to that kind of conditions. They don't really do it. So someone else needs to do it. The networks you're in, for example. So how can people like you and the networks you're in and investors from abroad bring about this more technologically and innovative agriculture forward? Governments don't do it, so it has to come from private initiative. How can we, this IFAMA network, how can investors bring those conditions forward?
Yes, thank you for that question. That is part of what we are championing and also trying to enforce in some of the volunteer organizations where I am the senior advisor, like even in the Association of African Future Leaders, and also Africa Agriculture Agenda, and the farmer networks, and even at the university where I also work. We propose brain engineering of what agriculture offers. Lots of youths are lacking the knowledge of viable opportunities of the agriculture sector. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's not just in the farm. What of after the farm, after harvest, post-harvest, of which we are encountering a lot of losses after harvest. Those are post-harvest operations, and there's so much post-harvest losses on the farm. Okay,
how much is that? Please explain. Is it 20%, 30%, or 50%, or how much? How much losses post-harvest?
Yeah, post-harvest losses occur, during production seasons. The gluts occur as well. So it's over 50 or about that, about 50%.
That's
or about that. So during production seasons, gluts occur, and why wouldn't we go into value addition? And that is what where Africa has not really done well, because for example, it comes to cocoa. We produce cocoa, and even Ghana produces cocoa. The Nigeria produces cocoa as well, and there are other countries that produce, because cocoa thrives more in this region, and we export cocoa. Yeah, and after we export cocoa, we sell the cocoas, the cocoa pods and cocoa, fruits, and they harvest from cocoa, and the prices that we sell them will keep falling. And the products from cocoa, which is chocolate and other derivatives from cocoa, we don't make more, because those the selling them outside of Africa, and it is processed, a value is added to the cocoa, and it becomes chocolate. The prices of chocolate will keep getting higher and higher and higher, and we in turn will start patronizing the same cocoa, but now chocolate. And then when you look at the margin that African farmers get with respect to the sale of cocoa that they produced, you see that it's very you can't really you can't really perform the losses that we incur and buy the same product, because we are not involved in the value chain. We are not adding value to cocoa. So, and you know that those that add value, like in the value chain, the value in with those key players that add value, they are the ones that take the chunk of the profits.
The biggest margin. So the biggest margin is in processing. So what you're talking about is how to build a chocolate factory in Ghana or in Ivory Coast. Is that realistic? Can it be done?
It can be done. It can be done. It's there are persons who come together and they form a partnership aside government, because we have been calling government can help us, government should do this, government should do that. At the moment, we are having a lot of investors from the international community, like the United States Agency for International Development. They have set up a committee of persons in the academia, in the legal industry, in the oil and gas sector, and other sectors that make up an economy, to look into ways in which we can industrialize agriculture and also add value, and where to come in with respect to investing in the agriculture industry, and also these processing of agricultural produce, not just cocoa. We are also looking at it. I am part of that initiative as well. So, and the government is trying to get involved now. So, they are partnering with the United States, like I said, USDA, USAID, and also the World Bank to try to build more factories, even the African Development Bank as well. So there's a lot of attention now, and from the international world, and
what made them change
Africa as well.
What made them change, Ikechi? What made them change their ideas? Why do they want to participate now?
Yeah, because of the opportunities that it has to create jobs, and to ensure food security as well. Because a lot of losses that occur after production, it's quite alarming. And Africa has been selected as a continent that will be able to feed the whole world by the year 2050. And the figures are already there. And there are many commodities and crops, livestock, and other products or derivatives from the farm, which has to be added value and processed to avoid wastage and also to ensure food security. Of course, it will create more jobs and also helps to halve poverty to a reasonable extent.
What are other opportunities for processing raw materials produced in Africa? So aside from cocoa, what are other products you could process and sell to other countries in the world?
Yeah, of course, we produce some tomatoes in some areas where they have a predisposed climate, or for its production. And also we also have cassava. Cassava is our indigenous crop, which we can produce gari, which is our native food. We can also produce tapioca from it and other derivatives from cassava. There are many derivatives. Also, the oil palm. We have oil palm, which has lots of derivatives from it, like palm oil and other products there. We also have some of these vegetables, these organic products. Of course, I mentioned tomatoes, but what of them? Okra. We have okra vegetable, and okra vegetable is grows more in the tropics, and it can also be processed, and it has a lot of nutritional health benefits, and of course, even industries also buy a lot of it for the adhesive. That's for the adhesive industry. They use it a lot for making of adhesives as well. So there are other crops that can also be processed from, like even in the forestry. In the forestry areas, you find lots of crops which are useful, which can also be processed and also exported. So Africa is like a home of lots of a variety of agricultural and crop and livestock, which of course I've already mentioned them, the components of the agriculture sector. Every part of the agriculture sector, Africa is the home for it. Is it in the crops? Is it in the livestock? Of course, we have our cattle, we have other, we have grass cutter, we have snail grease, we have, these are some, you know, livestock that can be managed by small, at a smallholder level. And of course, over time, they have helped to lift up livelihoods from poverty. And we have also the mushrooms, which is part of the crop sector, and many others.
Okay, Ikechi, allow me to step in again. You're telling me Africa has a lot of potential. Youngsters still look down a bit upon agriculture because of the traditional image of it as subsistence farming. Yet, when you take it up in a professional way and when you set up the processing with it, you'll create lots of formal jobs. Now, and governments are beyond paying lip service. They now see that it is important to develop it. What needs to be done next to unleash that potential? What could investors from outside of Africa do in order to create value in Africa? And we as Europeans, we fear the migrants from Africa coming to Europe. What can be done to make it more prosperous, to make the Africans create value for themselves, create processing for themselves, and create their own wealth from agriculture? What needs to be done right now? What could investors do? What could people bringing technology, seeds, all kinds of modern techniques to enhance production, to enhance, to lessen harvest losses, and so on and so forth? So the basic question is what to do in current conditions in order to make it, to get something off the ground right now.
Yes, that question is quite interesting because we have, at the moment, because of the global pandemic, lots of sentiments have been, expressed in the media, with respect to bringing, importing products from outside of the country. And, well, that's by the way. Well, I think because Africa has been grappling with poverty for a while now. Africa has lots of developmental issues and political instability, and also the war has affected Africa a lot. So with respect to technology-driven agriculture can help to advance Africa's agriculture sector. So, and we need to also strengthen our relationship with some of these European countries like Israel, like even the Dutch Netherlands, and some other countries as well, who have not relented in partnering with Africa, to champion its economic transformation through its agriculture sector. Because it's in principle that developing countries most times can attain development or can attain economic wide growth through the agriculture sector. So, and therefore, these countries that have advanced in technology, they have protected type of farming systems. Now we have climate change issues. We have technology and education trying to make people to be aware of the new dimensions of technology. How can we adopt these technologies from these countries? No, we have to relate, we have to partner. And even at the moment in West Africa, we were in a webinar session where the Israeli ambassador to West Africa was there, and lots of Israelis were there as well. And even I happened to be one of the Africans who was also there, the few Black Africans who were there in that meeting. And we kept brainstorming on how to set up these equipment and agri-techs, because it's very important. We cannot do without with these advanced countries, not just Europe. Even if not that the pandemic was traced to China, China had been, they are still, making moves on how to still strengthen their relationship with Africa, and they are, and also they should also identify with the needs of the smallholder farmers. Remember that Africa's agriculture sector is comprised majorly of smallholder farmers. Now, what of policy? What of financing? And as I mentioned earlier, because there's so much perception that poor returns. But when technology comes in, of course, we all know technology.
Now, Ikechi, African farmers are smallholders indeed. Will they be able to jump? Once they get very big, it doesn't work anymore. Once they stay too small as smallholders, it doesn't work either. So they have to grow a little bit. Or
and that is scaling up.
But scale up. Yeah. How to scale up? How to do that in an intelligent way? Can they live this kind of change? And can they guarantee the stability to deliver a stream of primary goods, of commodities to these processing plants we want so much? Can that be done? Will governments, I'm posing two questions now, can the smallholders be transformed into more professional farmers, let's say Dutch style, 20, 30 years ago? Can they migrate to that kind of model? And will governments create the stability for investors to guarantee them that their investment will indeed bring money to them and to Africa?
Yes, of course. I can say with respect to the recent interest, or rather, interest and focus of the government on Africa and of Africa on agriculture, because of its opportunities to drive economy-wide growth. Now, I'm sure where you were talking, your question is hinging on sustainability. How to make, is that what you mean?
It's both political and sustainable. So the two aspects are there: sustainability
has to be married together,
and political stability. It's the two. If you don't do it in a sustainable way, it won't work. But you need political stability as well to get it going. Otherwise, investors will be afraid and they won't invest, and then it won't.
Yeah, of course. We without international trade, how can we make part of the Millennium Development Goals to be achieved? Because we are talking about trade, among nations. We are encouraging some bilateral or multilateral trade agreements. Of course, we understand that policies with respect to the African nations differ. Now the policy, recently Nigeria and other African countries, we started promoting Africa's free trade agreements and all that. Now, also, there are also barriers to that. But I can say, with respect to the tradable aspect, and also the interventions from abroad, like we say, from Europe, from America, from Asia, or from outside of Africa, those interventions, of course, the government cannot rule out at the moment, they should not rule out the fact that we must have to trade and we must have to relate in such a way that we benefit mutually from the chain. You come to us, you help us to develop, and we are willing also to trade with you with the products that grow in our region. That is the way that God created the world. Created the world for us to keep increasing, proliferating, and also relating, engaging, and breaking forth and getting more transformed and bigger and all that. So I know that the governments of Africa are having issues with respect to that because of a lot of sentiments being shared that the Europeans came to Africa to colonize Africa, and then taking away its channeling those products of, especially from agriculture sector, and making us to be dependent on them to some sort or to some reasonable extent. So, and these are sentiments which are not very correct, because somehow you see that some African countries that allowed foreigners in their country, they are doing much better than the other countries that are not doing, that did not allow foreigners into their country. So we really have to build each other, and we need to understand our weaknesses. So like in most projects that we do, we have to carry out a SWOT analysis, and see the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and also the threats in whatever we are going in for, because it will help us to draw a line, and it will help us to see ways of actualizing the goals of international trade. Because the World Trade Organization has also made, in some respects, the merits and the demerits of trade among nations simple.
Mm-hmm. So if I try to sum this up, and then you need to correct me if I'm, so I'll try to create a very clear image. African governments do realize that they need food security. 1.6 billion people. It used to be 800 billion. Now there are 1.6 billion people who can't pay for their food anymore, and they are not in subsistence farming. So that is a problem, and lots of them are in Africa. African governments now understand that they need to be more food secure. Their countries need to be more food secure. They do understand that they need to partner with investors from abroad, and there is an opportunity for doing so, creating formal jobs for youngsters. Once you sit down and define what your intentions are, and your intentions are to carry out the result of a SWOT. So filling in strengths from outside, filling in strengths from the inside, bringing together the money, creating something that creates value in Africa. And that is a way to build trust, to create jobs for youngsters, and to create peace. That is, not so many migrants moving to the north, moving up to Europe. Would that be an image? Just sit together with governments, do the SWOT, point to the fact that you're willing to help to make money in African countries and develop agriculture and processing from that intention, and then you'll create jobs for youngsters. They'll see their opportunities. They'll want to be farmers. They want to be in the processing chain. Is that the image we should try to promote? Do it this way and set up the settings to do so?
Perfect.
It's perfect. Okay. Then we should try to do it within this IFAMA network. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that summary. That's quite brilliant of you, Dick.
Thank you, but you were giving it to me. So perhaps this is the end of this interview. If this is true, we need to discuss underneath this video, this interview, how to do it and how to create the networks to do this and to create trust, jobs, the interest of youngsters, and get it going before it gets out of hand. Thank you very much, Ikechi, for this interview.
You're welcome. Thank you.